Okay, I just wanted to start by saying this video was meant to be an actual video, but due to mixed quality or poor audio, it hasn't really worked out as well as I'd hoped. So we have some photos that I've taken, and I'm going to talk you through what I did. So I've got a 2012 Mark II Leon, that's the 1P model, the facelift of the Mark II. One of the last Mark II Leons actually. I think they stopped making them in 2012. In essence, my Leon came with this radio here. This is a RCD330, and it's a good radio. So just below the photo here is a USB and an aux port where you can plug in a thumb drive or a 3.5mm audio jack. But the radio itself is pretty good. The car's got built-in Bluetooth for phone calls, and you can stream your music across it as well. And it's got a CD player, and you can browse and stuff, and it works okay. It doesn't have DAB, but other than that, it's not too bad. But what I was looking to do was to get something better, where when I stream Bluetooth, I could skip the track or pause the music, which the current one doesn't allow me to do. Or even better, I was looking for one that supported Apple CarPlay. I'm using an iPhone at the moment, so I thought an Apple CarPlay unit would go well. So the first thing I did was bought this one here, which is the Pioneer SPH DA120, which is a good double-din unit. But in addition to buying the unit, I had to buy an adapter cable at £40, a fascia, which was about £15, and there was something else as well. I think it was an antenna adapter, and it didn't fit very well inside the double-din adapter, like you can see in this picture here. And when I connected to the car, I wasn't actually too impressed with the CarPlay experience. I had thought that the CarPlay experience came down to the phone, but the head unit plays a big part in this. It was very buggy. Spotify didn't really work half the time I opened it. The navigation was really slow. And initially I thought that was going to be a CarPlay thing until I tried it in another car, and that wasn't the case at all. So I ended up selling that radio on. I didn't actually fit it to the car. That photo there is as far as I got. And then what I did buy was this one here, and this one's the RCD330. Now this one is a genuine Volkswagen radio. It comes from China. I don't know why there are so many people in China taking them out of their car and selling them over here in Europe, but in essence the RCD330 gives you CarPlay support. There are some units as well that have Android Auto support, but the one that I've bought didn't. So I paid £170 for this one, delivered from a seller in Croatia. You can get it a little bit cheaper if you buy it from China. There may be some import fees as well, but I bought this one here, which came with the radio itself, as you can see, and the camera cable. So the cable that you can see there allows you to connect an aftermarket reversing camera to the head unit itself. So the idea with this one here is it fits directly into the car. I won't need a fascia, I won't need additional cables. Well, so I thought, actually I do need an additional cable. The antenna that is on my car has like 2 male connections, and the one in the back of this radio has 1 male connection. So I have bought a connector for that on eBay, which I'm going to put in when it arrives. But yeah, the general idea with this one is you can slot it straight into the car. It works with the existing wiring, and the steering wheel controls will work. The illumination will match the dashboard, and that'll all look pretty well. So I went ahead and stuck it in the car and switched it on, and this is what I got. So it was in Chinese, and I didn't really know what to do at this point. I did go to YouTube, but the quickest way to resolve this was just to click on or press on the setup button on the right hand side. If you click on the settings icon on the display itself, it was all in Chinese, but if you click on the setup button, the physical button on the right hand side of the head unit here, it does come up with a language option. It's quite easy to change it to English at that point. So I did that. Now when I put it in at this point, it didn't fit very well. I wasn't too sure why, but I was quite eager just to get it in there. I put it in, and then I opened up CarPlay, which we can see here. So opened up CarPlay, and the experience in CarPlay in this unit was much better than the Pioneer one, and this radio was a lot cheaper than the Pioneer one as well. The album art was displaying in the background there. It was just much smoother. The touchscreen was nice and smooth. So this unit was definitely the right one to go by, and so far it hasn't let me down. So connected my phone to it, got Spotify up there. As you can see, it still didn't fit very well, and I did try to put the fascia, you know, the fascia of the Leon back on over the radio, but it wouldn't fit very well. If I move on, you can see here the illumination of the buttons matches the Leon perfectly as well. Now it does display a Volkswagen logo when you switch it on, and it shows the Volkswagen logo on the CarPlay dashboard as well. So I'm not too sure if I can change that to Seat at some point. I think the customization of this model, the DZ one, is pretty limited. I think the one made by No Name is more flexible, but for the price I paid, I'm not going to complain about that. So yeah, going back to this whole issue of getting it to fit very well, that was starting to kind of get on my nerves a little bit. And then what I found was, you know, either side of the head unit itself, you can see here these little anchor points didn't align very well with the anchor points on the Leon. And initially I thought that was the fault. I thought, okay, well, I might just take a Dremel to the anchor points on the dashboard of the Leon and get this to sit flush back with the dashboard of the car, and then the fascia will go on. And that's the route I was going to go down, until I looked at it a different way. So I looked at the radio itself, and if I look at this picture here, you can see at the bottom of the radio where the SD card slot is, there's a little bit of a metal casing there, and I thought perhaps that's fouling with the dashboard of the Leon. Maybe that's why it's not going all the way back and why it's raising it up a little bit there. So I took it apart. As you can see here, the whole thing comes apart really easy. It's a Torx screwdriver you need, a T9. Comes apart really easily. And then I took that rear cage off and took it into the car, and when I put it up against the car, I thought, yeah, I think where that SD card bit at the back is fouling with the dashboard in the car. So unfortunately it wasn't a simple screw to remove, it was rivets that put that in place there. So I took a drill to that, as you can see here. So I drilled those two screws out, which was straightforward enough. Took the plate back out to the car and put it against the dashboard, and sure enough, the screw holes lined up perfectly, and the little gaps at either side lined with the anchor points of the car pretty well as well. And you can actually see in this picture here, that little square at the bottom to the left hand side where the block was, you can actually see a little bit of the Leon dashboard in there. So that must have been fouling when I was putting the head unit in place. So took the plate back into the house, put the whole radio back together, put the radio back into the car, and yeah, that all lined up absolutely fine. You can see here in this picture, the screws are in, the anchor point aligns up with the dashboard of the car fine. And then I put the fascia back on, and yeah, it all looks okay. The fascia went back on, fits fine, and it's all working great. So what doesn't work very well with this one, so on the MFD, the multifunction display of the Leon, where the speedometer is, there's a digital display there where you get your fuel consumption and stuff like that. With the original radio, the RCD330, that would display the radio station that I was listening to, or the track I was listening to, and if you adjust the volume, it would give you the volume controls in there as well. That doesn't exist anymore. That must have been linked directly to the RCD310. The RCD330 doesn't display anything at all on there. There's just no existence of that screen ever being there, which is fine. The other thing is that the Bluetooth module of the RCD330 is contained within the head unit itself, and it doesn't interact at all with the Bluetooth module in the car. So because my car came with factory fit Bluetooth, there's a module, I believe it's under the driver's seat, and there is a microphone on the headline of the car, and they don't interact at all with this radio. So this radio here, the microphone is on the left hand side of the unit, just under the I guess the radio and media button. Now the phone calls I've did with people, they've said that the audio quality is really good. There's no complaints in hearing me at all, which is great. But on the multifunction display again, it just displays that there's no phone connected. I believe I could pair my phone with it if I wanted to. I disconnected it, but yeah, it doesn't look like I can use a multifunction display on the instrument cluster to select contacts and make phone calls. But because I've got the CarPlay unit there, it's not too much of a big deal. I guess it also makes the telephone button on the steering wheel redundant as well, but that's something that I guess we could live with. So yeah, that's all I really got to say. Oh, and the USB and aux ports at the bottom of the radio, those are also merged redundant as well now, so they don't function at all. Again, they must have been linked to the RCD310. The RCD330 doesn't recognise anything being plugged into there, but there is a USB port on the front of the RCD330, a 3.5mm jack, and an SD card slot as well. If I'm being picky, I'd have quite liked for the car's own USB port at the bottom of the dashboard there to work, because the cable wouldn't then be sticking out the radio, but it's a very minor complaint for what I'm getting. So yeah, if you're looking to buy one of these for your Leon Mark II, I think they fit very well. They work really well. I think it's better than the aftermarket one that I tried. And yeah, it's overall it's a good buy if you're quite happy with the the small minor things that you do lose when you use one. Thanks for watching.